The next topic in control flow is loops. Loops are ways of repeating logic again and again, again and again. So Rust has got very interesting control flow mechanisms, and some of them are similar to C yet unique, and some of them are completely unique to Rust, and we are going to learn about all of them one by one. So in any case, Rust makes control flow mechanisms very safe and explicit. So in this video, we are going to start with the first control flow mechanism, that is for loop. So here the right hand side is C code and left hand side is Rust code. So all for loops in C revolve around three simple conditions, that is some initialization, some condition, some increment or decrement. So here it's a simple for loop which iterates from 0 to 10, 10 excluded, and simply prints the value of I here. So there are generally two problems around this, or two accidents we can say. The first one is around condition, that is to include the last element when it is not supposed to be included, or to exclude the last element when it is supposed to be included. Right, in both the cases it's not matching the program requirements. That's the first problem. The second problem is around increment or decrement. So like if pre-increment is required and post-increment is given, or post-increment is required and pre-increment is given. So both are problems because C revolves around manual management of conditions and increment or decrement. Right, so these problems are solved in Rust. So now first let's understand the syntax of for loop. So in this case, values is a variable, array variable assigned to this array which has three elements, that is 10, 20 and 30. So we have not started on arrays, so we do not need to learn about the syntax of arrays. For now, just know that this is a variable name, array variable name, values, and assigned to collection elements of 10, 20 and 30. So it's also called a collection type because it collects more than one element of same type. So here for Rust for loops, we will discover or learn two ways of for loops, that is value based iteration or collection based iteration, and then range based iteration for loops. And newer types of for loops we are going to dig deeper when we visit arrays chapter. So here in this case it is just a print and then for loop starts here. So here the first keyword is for, obviously, and the second one is variable name, and the third one is again a keyword called in. The fourth one is values. Here it is the collection item, that is values, that is array name, and there is a print of the value one by one. For the first time C programmers migrating to Rust, this can be confusing. Why? Because I is nowhere declared here. They often think, hey, where is I declared here? It is already used here, right? So in C it always follows declaration and then access. So is it a compilation error is the first thought for first time programmers, Rust programmers, especially coming from C side. So this is allowed in Rust because in case of Rust, for this for loop and many other conditions, I is temporarily binded by the compiler. So compiler does something like this. For the first iteration, it does I equal to 10 binding. For the second iteration, it does let I equal to 20 binding. For the third iteration, it does let I equal to 30 binding. Okay, so hence it's not required to explicitly declare I. The compiler takes care of it for us. So compiler is our good friend here. And the values are printed. So when the values are printed, there are two ways of printing as we saw last time. Either it can be printed outside and the curly braces can be empty, or this is one way, or the printing can be directly inside the braces. So both of them print. The next one is range based iteration. So here in this case it's the same for loop where for I again variable name and then in keyword. So here this is the range. The range is from 0 to 10 and 0 included but 10 excluded, and then it prints the value of I. And here in this case, if I is equal to 2, then it breaks from the for loop. So here it prints only 0 and 1, and 2 also it prints because it enters the for loop and then finds out the values 2 and then comes out of it. So again to reiterate, so the if for loop did not have parenthesis, right? The next one, okay, so if you want to include 10, what do? We simply add equal to here. So for I in 0 colon equal to 10. So in this case, the range includes 0 and 10. 0 already included and 10 also included. Then there is a condition here. So if I equal to 2, then continue. Continue means stop executing the below bottom thing and jump to the starting of for loop again, right? So that happens. So this is just to showcase that break and continue can be used for all the loops, okay, that Rust provides. So in case you think, like I don't want the increment to be by 1. If I want to increment by 2, what do? So then we can use library methods. So here step by 2 is used, which increments the first element by 2 and then skips 1 by 1, means adds 2, 2, 2 like that, 0, 2, 4, 6, 8 like that. Okay, so this is range based iteration. So rest of the iteration methods and for loop we are going to dig deeper when we visit arrays. Let's now compile the programs, both of them. See, the first is the C program. It gave from value 0 to 9 because 10 is excluded. This is the Rust program. The collection elements printed all the values of the array 10, 20 and 30. Then range, the first loop breaks after 2, so it comes out. The second one tries to print including 10, and the third one it steps by 2. So from 0 it jumps to 2, from 2 it jumps to 4, then to 6 and then to 8. Okay.